Anyways, I think I've covered all the little improvements over from Sonic 2 to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I think I don't know, have I sufficiently justified my love for this game over the other Sonic games? I love the wide open levels. I love the fact that you kind of get to spend a little bit more time in each zone than you did in Sonic 2. Sonic 2, you got through the zones so quickly, the acts were so short that you didn't really... You like barely got to see them before you were on to the next one. Also, it was a little bit heavier on the cheap hits, I felt. The speed, the added sense of speed was nice, but it came kind of at the expense of fairness occasionally, especially once you get to the Oil Ocean Zone and Metropolis Zone. It got kind of bad. Just a little bit. The game is still great overall, but it got kind of bad once you get to that point in the game. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, there's a lot less of the unfair, cheap hit bullshit. The stages are, yeah, just a much better design overall, I feel. I love, just like in the specific fact that there's less cheap bullshit, the fact that they're more wide open, more branching paths, more stuff to explore, more hidden secrets and stuff. And that, a lot of that goes to like just the fact that exploring to find the special stage rings is kind of fun. Speaking of which, am I going to get this one? You know what? Yeah, since we're missing an entire zone that we wouldn't have gotten that we would have gotten in a normal playthrough, we will actually go for the second special stage in this act. Oh, you know what? Me and my big mouth. This is another perfectly linear special stage. I swear to God, though, they get trickier once you get a little bit further. Or is there... It's been a while since I've done this one. Yeah, there's no blue spheres over in that section. Just a waste of time. I don't know, maybe my memory is shot. To be honest, I'm not exactly an expert on the special stages in these games. So, okay, I was mentioning how these are my favorite special stages in the Sonic series. They're the most fun to play. I still don't, like I mentioned in the previous Sonic LPs, I don't typically do special stages in Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, and I don't typically do special stages in these games either, just because, again, it really breaks up the flow of the game. It adds a bunch of time to the game, in a game that is already super long, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Longest game in the series, takes like about an hour and a half to complete, if you're good at it and speeding through. And actually, I say hour and a half to complete, what? I'm at an hour and a half already. This is going to be like a 2-hour experience. Most likely, yeah, about 2 hours to beat this game, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, when you've got them combined like this. And, yeah, and getting the emeralds, 14 emeralds you've got to get, and the special stages can go even longer if you don't have them mastered. It just adds a lot of time, it breaks up the flow, and it's just, even if the individual special stages are kind of fun, I just don't like doing. I don't like doing them. I prefer just playing the game straight up and don't even, you know, Doomsday Zone, whatever. I can do without it. I prefer having a nice, consistent experience. Speaking of things I don't like to do, this is a really cool boss. I actually think this is a really neat idea. The idea of like a running boss where you're jumping over the hurdles and chasing after him. It's a really cool boss. The problem is that you get like almost all of the hits in on him, like right at the start there, and the boss takes like no time whatsoever to kill because you get like 6 hits on him when he's a satellite. So in general, actually, I prefer to avoid hitting him as much as possible before the fight proper starts. Yeah, normally we'd be going to the Flying Battery here. Instead, we hop on the jet stream over to Sandopolis. And yeah, we can still see the pollen falling here, which I think is a nice little touch. Sandopolis Zone. This is a controversial one, so I've mentioned that I really do think that the level designs in general are an improvement in Sonic 3 and Knuckles over Sonic 2. More fun, more fair, more wide open, a lot more variety. Oh yeah, that's another thing I actually didn't mention explicitly. Just the variety of obstacles, just the different contraptions and gadgets. There's just, yeah, the sense of variety that you get from each zone is really great, even more so. Like, that was the thing that was great in Sonic 2, and it's even better here in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So yeah, that's a really cool thing. And yeah, Sandopolis, oh dear. If I'm not mistaken, and again, I don't play these special stages that often, so I could be wrong. I believe this is the final special stage in the regular Sonic and Knuckles special stage order, which is the most difficult one by far. You gotta do nasty little tricks like that there, which I missed. Yeah, I missed the timing on the bumper there. That is a tricky one to get. actually. I'm gonna have to save it. Oh, God. I should have done a test playthrough. I might not be able to get that special stage, actually, before the Death Egg Zone, especially with one less, with one less zone to get the emeralds in. Because, yeah, Flying Battery is out. Mind you, I only knew about one of the rings in that zone in the first place, but still. Man, I should have gone for those extra Mushroom Hill rings. Anyways, oh yeah, one thing I've seen it criticized sometimes. So I've mentioned that I just like Sonic 3 and Knuckles straight up. Like, it's my favorite version of the game, and Sonic 3 Complete is my favorite version of that game. But I've seen the criticism sometimes that some people don't like kind of the unevenness that sort of the divide between Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. I've seen some people say that it feels less like one complete game and more like two different games taped together back to back almost. And and a lot of that comes to what, at least the claim comes to the difficulty curve. People say it's like, yeah, you're going through like this nice upward ramping difficulty curve in Sonic 3, and then it just kind of resets and you do the difficulty curve again in Sonic and Knuckles. So it's like, yeah, it's really like two games back to back rather than one continuous game. I've never really agreed with that criticism ever since I first saw it, to be honest. Reason for that being that just the Sonic the Hedgehog games have never been much for even difficulty curves, even from the beginning. Or I guess Sonic 2, kind of, even though there was a bit of a difficulty fall off from Metropolis to Wing Fortress. But even then, oh, you know what? There's a special stage ring up there. Oh, that's right, and I can't go Supersonic anymore. Shit. This isn't gonna work. I missed it. I failed it. Oh, man. I know it's up there, too. I am, like, 99% sure. Because that's my final ring. That's the ring that I go Supersonic on in a regular playthrough. Oh, can I get this way? Can I go up and to the left here? No. Oh, that sucks. This is gonna be tough. This is gonna be tough, guys. This actually might be like a real playthrough. Like a real, like, excitement. Can he do it? Type stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all the emeralds. Anyways, the difficulty curve in Sonic games in general is often uneven, in my opinion, especially in Sonic 1. Like, Sonic 1, like, you know, you go from Labyrinth to Starlight, which is, like, Starlight is, like, the second easiest zone in the game. Like, Starlight, yeah, is easier than the Marble Zone. But, yeah, nevertheless, it's the second last zone. So it's like, yeah, difficulty curve has never been much of a thing in the Sonic games. And again, I think the Marble Zone is harder than the Spring Yard Zone too. So that's another bit. And also Sonic 2, a bit less so. And Sonic 2 had a bit more of an even difficulty curve, I guess. Wing Fortress notwithstanding. But so I can kind of see it, the criticism there, I guess, if people are used to kind of the more even difficulty curve of Sonic 2. But even the original games, like Sonic 3 didn't. Sonic 3 alone doesn't have an even difficulty curve. Like for example, Ice Cap is probably one of the easiest zones in that game, and that's the second last zone in the regular zone order of Sonic 3. So that's like not a real thing. Launch Base Zone, I guess, is maybe the hardest, but it's, I mean, it's pretty close with probably the Carnival Night Zone, I'd say. Carnival Night Zone is actually probably the hardest zone. And same with Sonic and Knuckles. You've got, honestly, all of the Sonic and Knuckles zones are hard. Actually, most of them are harder than the Sonic 3 zones, which is, again, another reason why I don't think the weird difficulty curve criticism holds much weight. This is a stupid little boss. I mean, the normal way that you fight him is you stand on this side and you hit him repeatedly in order to, you know, knock him back into there. I just let him jump all the way over and then land the last hit because it's a little bit faster. But anyways, but yeah, the Sonic and Knuckles levels, like, you get a little bit of a breather in the transition. It's like you go from Launch Base to Mushroom Hill, and that's like a big downward step in difficulty. Mushroom Hill is kind of your classic first zone, and that's, you know, Sonic first zones go. It's a really good one. probably the best, I'd say. It's probably my favorite Zone 1 out of all the Sonic games, if you consider it a Zone 1, since, you know, it's obviously Zone 7 or whatever in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. But yeah, other than that, like, Flying Battery is pretty tough, Sandopolis Zone is really tough, Lava Reef is really tough. Like, almost all the Sonic and Knuckles zones are harder than most of the zones in Sonic 3. Or, sorry, most of the Sonic and Knuckles zones are harder than the Sonic 3 zones. So there is a ramp-up in difficulty, generally. There's just a brief respite that occurs in Mushroom Hill. So yeah, I don't really see the difficulty curve argument there. Oh, and yeah, speaking of difficulty curve, so yeah, Sandopolis. This is a heavily criticized zone. I know a lot of people aren't fans. I know a lot of people really don't like Sandopolis in Sonic and Knuckles. I can see it. I had a lot of trouble with Sandopolis when I was a kid. And actually, yeah, it was the zone that I was stuck on for the longest time. Like, I don't know, maybe I kind of want to talk a bit about my history with this game and what it was like for me as a kid, because, you know, this is kind of such an important game for me in my childhood, kind of growing up, kind of my, you know, my video gaming history, as it were. Like, this is probably my most played game of all time back in those days. And not just Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but, you know, Sonic and Knuckles in particular. This was my favorite game back in the day. I played the dickens out of this. Like, I say that about a lot of games that I played the dickens out of. I played, I don't know, something even stronger than the dickens. I played the double dickens, the devil dickens out of Sonic and Knuckles. It was, yeah, my favorite game back in the day. And it took me a lot of effort to beat it. Yeah, clearing this one did not come easily for me as a kid. Mind you, in general, I was not the greatest at video games back then. In fact, I was really terrible. A lot of that just came from the fact that I got really upset at video games way back then. Like, really upset. I would scream and cry and swear whenever I just come across like a really difficult part that I couldn't get past. I don't know, it's just I felt bad. I felt like it reflected badly on me as a person, as a video gamer, as a kid growing up in the 90s, that I couldn't, you know, beat these video games, or that I was so terrible at them and couldn't get through on my own. So it's sort of beyond a point, to avoid that kind of anguish and frustration, I started cheating a lot. Like, I was really big into, like, especially once I got access to the internet, I was big into, like, cheat codes and, you know, the video game magazines, which would have the little code sections at the end. I was big into those. I cheated my way past almost every video game that I rented or played back in the day. And indeed, I cheated my way through Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I had a strategy guide, actually, for Sonic 2. I didn't get it until or probably months after I got the game, because I still couldn't beat it after months of playing it. But, yeah, Sonic 2, I actually had to get through, or, sorry, I didn't actually beat Sonic 2 legit my first time through. Or, you know what, why am I wasting my time with this nonsense? Or, okay, I gotta refresh this here. But yeah, I got the lightning shield here, which means, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there we go, little shortcut there. Oh yeah, speaking of shortcuts, I'm not even getting the stupid handles. The little handles, or the rappelling down the wall thing, is probably my least favorite level gimmick in the entire series. It's just a big waste of time. Just like jump off, just drop down. It's faster. You don't miss out on anything. You miss out on a few rings. It's like, come on, who needs rings in a Sonic game, honestly? But, yeah, anyways. So, Sonic 2 I kind of cheated my way through, or I used the level select code, so whenever I got stuck at a level, I just used level select to get past it. Kind of cheat infinite continues in that way. And, yeah, so I basically kind of cheated my way through Sonic 1 and 2 using level select and the debug code, but Sonic and Knuckles I actually had to beat straight up, because I didn't have a strategy guide. I didn't see any codes in magazines, and indeed, as far as I know, Sonic and Knuckles did not have a level select code, or at least not one that I was aware of at the time. So oh, neat little trick here, actually, which Tails is fucking up for me. Yeah, if you spin dash next to these little switches there, those little push switches, you can actually push them, which lets you trigger them when the ghosts are coming at you. But anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, anyways, this game I had to beat straight up because I didn't have any cheats for this. I didn't have a strategy guide. This was like right before I got the internet. This game came out in like, what, 94? Which is a bit before my family got the internet. So yeah, I had to beat this one straight up. So yeah, as a result, I was stuck in Sandopolis for the longest time. Made me really upset as a kid. But yeah, you know, obviously I've kind of grown past that. Oh dear. Oh god, I'm gonna get crushed. Oh man, I missed a couple rings there. That sucks. Anyways. But, yeah, anyways, Sandopolis Zone. A little bit controversial. A lot of people hate it. It's another one of those ones where it's like I can kind of see it. Obviously, I struggled through it my first time as a kid. These days, kind of not seeing it as much. It's kind of like the same thing I was saying about the Labyrinth Zone in Sonic 1. It's like, now that I know it, I find it weird that I ever had trouble with it. And I'm obviously showing off. I'm obviously showing off right now. Like, yeah. Anyone freaking out, wanting to write a comment right now? Yes. I know that you can get rid of the ghosts by flipping the light switches there. I understand how this works. I am just letting them survive because, one, they're adorable. I love these guys. These are just... I almost want to make them into like an icon or something. If I could make my own Twitch chat icon, it would probably be the ghosts in the Sandopolis Zone. It's just, I don't know. I don't know, it's just, look at them, they're just so adorable. They're even more adorable when they're like just like fledgling ghosts. Like, I think it's probably the stage 2 ghosts are my favorite. I don't know, I just love these guys, they're so great. I can't bring myself to kill them anymore.